Hello and welcome to episode 135 of our SAP on Azure YouTube podcast. Today is March 16th, and together with Robert and Goran, we're here to talk about anything related to SAP and Microsoft. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
So today we are going to do a refresh day episode. Let's sit down together and make a small assessment of what we have learned, what we have seen as obstacle, and try to together see what we can improve. So for this refresh day, Robert, who has been working with lots of partners and their customers in the last few months and years actually, will guide us through the day. But as always, before we take a closer look and start our discussions, let's take a look at some of the news from this week. And I want to start with a blog post on LinkedIn from Joaf. Joaf has been on the show, I think, 2 times already in the past, and when it came to security, Sentinel integrations with SAP. And Joaf had some really cool, exciting news just 2 days ago. And it was about the Sentinel integration into SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. So basically RISE with SAP. So there was a long certification process, and now, actually, let me jump over here. Now you can see that Microsoft Sentinel is certified, RISE certified for SAP, which means you can now really connect your Microsoft Sentinel implementation. And again, we had talked about this in the past, and connect it with your SAP running on RISE. And we already have a lot of customers that are very interested in extending their Sentinel integration also to the SAP workload. And now, this is also really officially an SAP certified solution. So again, if you want to know more about Sentinel, we'll have the links to the previous episodes there. Here's also a very quick overview of what it's all about. But I think it's really great to see that this is now certified. The next thing is something that is a little older already. I mean, the blog post from Peter Spielvogel in end of January about some of the updates from the SAP S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition integration. We had talked about this actually, but I only now found this blog post from Peter where he talks about some of the SAP Collaborative ERP integrations of Microsoft Teams into S/4HANA Public Cloud. So we had talked about these functionalities that from within almost any SAP Fiori screen, you can go here to this share button, you can click on Microsoft Teams, and then you can share the content as a chat, as a link basically. And that is actually now general available. But also this new share as tab functionality is now available as an early adopter care program. So if you want to sign up, just do that. Then you can also experience the share as tab functionality directly from your S/4HANA Public Cloud Edition. Speaking of Teams integration, the colleagues from Neptune Software, so remember Neptune, they also have a low-code platform that allows you to develop Fiori-like or Fiori applications in a low-code manner. They're very busy in integrating or extending their integration also to the Microsoft world. So Abesh wrote this very small blog post about this new announcement that they have. And basically what you can do now with Neptune, you can integrate Power BI reports. You have a nice Outlook integration, so you can fetch emails and show them into the Neptune UI. There's a calendar integration, a OneDrive integration, and I actually saw some really cool demos already where you really saw how the Neptune user interface was interacting with the Microsoft tools. And actually, I forgot, but I think for the OneDrive or for the calendar integration or for one of these, they're also connecting then via Power Automate. They're fetching, collecting different services and data points via Power Automate, and then bring the results also in the Neptune framework. So for me, a beautiful scenario of how the Neptune DX platform can work together with Microsoft 365, but then obviously also with the Power Platform. Moving on, we just released a new ebook, Modernize SAP on the Microsoft Cloud, Future-Proof Your Business. So if you are interested in taking a look at this ebook, fill out all this information. I already did this for you basically, and here's a quick look at this ebook. What it's nice is it's a collection of lots of different, or some of the success factors that are to some extent also obviously available on our webpage, but here you can see the content in a condensed form. Some of these scenarios are highlighted. I don't know if you go here to the Carlsberg Group, for example, you have a quick overview of what it's all about, what some of the highlights that Carlsberg in this specific scenario had in their implementation. So it's a nice short ebook that talks about SAP with the Microsoft Cloud. The last thing that I want to mention is an SAP community event recap. So CAP, remember, is the cloud application programming framework on the SAP side. That's really powerful if you want to build extensions to your SAP systems, which with really nice integrations into the HANA stack, obviously, with a few other scenarios where you can easily build OData services. We talked about OData services a lot of times. But now what we actually gonna do, and Volker Busek just also tweeted this, so I think it's safe if I also share this in our podcast here. We'll have a hackathon before this recap event, where we really want to see how we can enable CAP to also work with Microsoft Azure Cosmos DB, which I think will be a really interesting hackathon. So if you are a CAP developer, if you're interested, if you are available on, I think we'll start the hackathon on July 5th. So if you are there, if you want to come to St. Leon Roth and join, help the integration of CAP and Cosmos DB, then make sure to stop by here. Okay, so these were all the topics from this week, and with this, maybe let's head over to you, Robert. You had this great idea of this recap or refresh, not recap, refresh day.
Yeah, it's okay. It's also recap is nice name. So I think I'm just sharing our start page on SAP on Azure channel. So I will try to start from this point just to explain what is the idea behind the refresh day. So I think it's clear what we are trying to do here in our YouTube channel. Yeah. So we are somehow one big overview of everything, anything which somehow applies to SAP and Microsoft Azure. But I think it's also very easy to notice that what we have there is different large parts. We have this Extend Innovate. You are talking a lot about Power Platform integration, but also we are talking about the main pillars of SAP on Azure stories like Azure Core, Azure Infrastructure, Azure Infrastructure as a Service, or whatever name we are using for that. But I think before we go a little bit deeper, I think it's very important to understand that to address the few important topics for Microsoft Azure perspective, because especially they are important also for SAP and Azure topic. So topics like or pillars like cost management, like operational excellence, like performance, like security, like reliability, like high availability, disaster recovery, and so on. So, and I would like to take a look on what we did so far regarding those pillars. So, for example, if I just take, I don't know, let's take high availability. Goran is not there, so he will be proud because I'm using high availability topic. So if I search for high availability, I mean, we can see, okay, there's a topic with Azure, where, with Goran, where he's talking about availability set, availability zones. Why is this important for high availability concept and disaster? What is the? We also, I think, have a very nice session with Dennis, where he explained, okay, very nice blog, how to do proper disaster recovery, and so on, so on. So let's take another. So let's take, for example, cost management. So if I just placed here in the filter cost, then we see, okay, we address cost management more or less when we're discussing about advantages of INF, when we're talking about advantages of premium storage version 2, we always somehow addressing that. But if you can a little bit scroll down, you'll see that we actually didn't talk much about cost management from governance perspective. So some task for us to do in the next phases. So let's go performance. I also mentioned performance. So let's hit the refresh for performance. Yeah, I mean, this is a popular topic. We are addressing that a lot, but there's no specific performance video for SAP on Azure. So you see, what we learn in this refresh, revision, that we still need to do some jobs here. Yeah, of course. I mean, when we are talking about when we take a look of everything what we have here, so it's easy to understand that still there's some tasks to do. Yeah, of course we are talking about YouTube channel where we always bringing something new, and somehow we are. This is the idea behind the channel, that we are bringing new stuff. But what if we are now taking the same approach, so this refresh revision on top of a customer project, and say, hey, I just want to use one of the projects, and analyze what I did there. So maybe if I'm a partner, I have multiple customer, multiple projects. If I'm a customer, maybe I have multiple SAP and Azure landscapes. So I want to revision, okay, what I learned so far. So you see, this refresh day is more revision of our knowledge, what we built so far, that we can sit down maybe every 3 months, one time in quarter, and then revision, okay, and see, okay, what is the new, what is we have a premium store version 2. Okay, how that somehow influenced to our landscape? Do we need to do something? How that reflect to cost management? I mean, you see, we can talk about those pillars, about the security, cost, operation management, and everything else. And this is easy to discuss about it. And this is the idea behind the refresh day, to sit down together with our partners, with our customers, together with Microsoft, and see what we can do better. Maybe we forget something. Maybe on the first phases, we didn't think much about cost management, and now we see this is very important. Or maybe we migrate something we transfer everything to S/4HANA. Now we have many old systems. We don't need them anymore. Maybe we don't need anymore one big development system. Now we want to have 10 small development systems. All those combinations will give us different perspective and shape a little bit what we have learned so far. And this is the idea that we have somehow a regular rhythm, with our partners, in my case, to just sit down together, with coffee and bretzels, how we say in Germany, and then discuss about, okay, what we can do better. Mm-hmm. And of course, addressing something what we, from Microsoft perspective, for example, notice that maybe partner can improve regarding our best practices. Because I think, sorry. Go.
No, I think this is really, really important, and I know that you have been actually promoting. I think you never called it Refresh Day, but I think this idea is something that you have been talking about for a very, very long time. That simply how you operate in the cloud is very, very different from how you operate on premise, and that means that in the cloud you should ideally revisit what you have done in a much more frequent way. And I think this refresh day is exactly that you force basically partners, customers to sit down self-reflect on a regular basis on, look, what's the situation now? What changed in the last 3 months? What are new things that we can do? And I also like there are really a lot of different pillars that you can look. It can be a completely architecture thing. It can be cost thing. It can be an integration topic. So I think that's really an interesting impulse to say let's have a regular refresh day.
Yeah. And I mean, what you mentioned several times the cloud. Yeah. And this is the idea that, that we must understand the cloud mentality is not something that, shoot and forget. Cloud is changing constantly. We see now currently we call it hype. Yeah. But we will see probably drastic changes in a few months about OpenAI, ChatGPT, and what Microsoft is building around that. Yeah. But it's constantly changing, constantly improving. So we need to have this cloud mentality. I mean, not to run for every new feature and let's implement. I mean, this is very dangerous. Yeah. But to have a feeling, okay, what I can do for my environment to be better, to improve something what is coming, for example, in following months or following weeks. Yeah. This is the idea behind it. But you probably noticed when we're discussing about it, it's okay, but still you have a huge set of information between your fingers. You need to have something tangible to say, hey, how to transfer this assessment in something which I can monitor, which I can repeat every fresh day, every 3 months. And this is exactly where our assessments, what we have catalog of assessment in part of Cloud Adoption Framework, or especially Azure Well-Architecture assessments, where we can use that in refresh days. Yeah. So the idea is that on refresh days, we, define classical story about, objectives and try to figure out how to deliver that through key results, objective key results. If someone understands that methodology, then it's very clear what I'm trying to achieve here. And, if we start, for example, one assessment, I mean, there's many assessments, so there's a really nice list of assessments. And I will start for Azure Well-Architecture review. In general, it's recommended that we also start this assessment on the beginning of our migration or our cloud journey, because it will help us, North Star to see, okay, where I want to go, and somehow check, okay, what I'm doing. And on the refresh day, if I already did that, so I can simply on the refresh day use my old assessment, and based on all assessments, start a new assessment to see, okay, what is improved, or if I implement, for example, something new, how the new improvement is reflected to my old assessment, and what I need to do in following assessment to define my objectives and my key results or my execution or my task till next refresh day. Yeah? So if I start assessment, it's very nice that most of those assessments have this option to link to your subscription. The idea behind is, I think is, now in stage that we are really dreaming a lot, because but the idea is going that direction, because I'm referring to that in that fashion, because it's not yet available for all solutions. But the idea is that we connect this assessment to subscription, and then using some services on like Azure Advisor to collect informations. Okay, what you are missing, and we'll map that automatically in this assessment. So you will repopulate that suggestions for you what you need to do to improve something which you already have in Azure. Yeah? So it's some kind of automatic intelligent assessment. I say this is a problem which will improve a lot in the following month. And if you go next step, and of course we will select our SAP on Azure. And now, if you see, we are concentrating, of course, about infrastructure story, but as you mentioned, we can also select some other pillows when we want to go in extend in innovative perspective. Yeah? So, for example, if I now select one of those pillows, let's say cost management, I just received a big set of questions, which I somehow need to sit down. Maybe I already did that on beginning. Maybe I'm now revisioning on my refresh day, but I will sit down with my team, my Microsoft colleagues, and see, okay, hey, we didn't address that and that. So how we can improve that? Oh, there's a new feature. Be careful. We need to address that in following months. So or there's a deprecation of interfaces. So we need to be careful what or customer is. For example, reserved instances is expiring next month. So what we want to do, we want to extend it or maybe introduce something else. Maybe we want to switch to a new series of virtual machines. And address all those combinations, see how that reflect, for example, in this example, cost management. And I can select some of those checkboxes. But on the end, when I go till end, there's always way to get more information, to have a short video about this topic, what we are somehow trying to cover with these questions, and how to find more information behind that. But on the end, you will receive very nice dashboard where you see, okay, where are you? Are you on the right way or in cloud adoption phase? Do you need to improve something? How that reflect to your previous assessment? And there's always nice suggestions. Okay, like recommended actions. This is like actually your objectives and what you need to do somehow with them. Yeah. And of course, some of these you say, okay, this is not important for us, yeah. But there's a new M series are coming, for example. Are we really sure that we are addressing the right SKUs for our SAP servers? Maybe we can improve something there. So you are somehow generating the next step tasks, and on the end, you can always go back, revision that in few days again, and prepare your assessment for next refresh day where we can sit down together, drink coffee and eat something, yeah, and see, okay, how we can now revision and do it better. This is the idea behind the refresh day. So to really have this mentality of the cloud, to think about changes, to think how to improve something, to think that we can always do something better, because it's, as I mentioned, cloud is changing really in crazy speed. And also, I mean, if you take a look something like SAP, which is classical monolithic systems, I mean, there's still many parts of the SAP monolithic space where we can do much more around, automatic stuff, automatic deployment, and have a more flexibility in complete landscape. Yeah, it's easy. When you have flexible environment, it's easy to ask your question. Okay, why I need such a big quality systems? Yeah, do I need it all the time? Then some very dangerous questions which are on the premise. Wow, don't touch that. It's it's too complex. In cloud environment, maybe you can challenge yourself and say, so why not? Let's try. Let's see how we can minimize the cost. Does that make sense? And so on and so on. So I think in combination with assessment frameworks, like in this example, Azure Well-Architected framework, we can somehow prepare ourselves for next phases. And the assessment is going also in direction to check the knowledge of partner, to check knowledge of the customer team. Are we on the right level? Do we need to improve our knowledge also? It's also good for us. I'm sometimes using that for myself just to see, okay, is there something new? Because we are constantly changing these assessments, improving them, not changing, improving them. And we're trying to somehow keep them in sync with best practices.
And then new questions coming up and new ideas that you then can leverage in your next assessment that you're doing.
Exactly. And I think it's very, we are in this channel talking a lot about best practices. Yeah, I think for all best practices in software industry, it doesn't matter is Microsoft or our competition best practices or any best practices or from SAP perspective, the goal behind the best practices is that we as a vendor, as a Microsoft, as a software vendor, as a platform vendor, that we somehow send the message to customer, hey, if you are following those best practices, we guarantee that you will be in sync with our new functionality, that you will be in sync with our new changes, because we are always improving something in reflection and going back and say, okay, hey, don't do that because our best practices are telling you to go another way. So we are always trying to go in that direction. So the keeping sync with our best practices over the assessment frameworks like this one and using Refresh Day will help you to really be confident that you're on the ready for the next phases and next steps, especially for partner perspective, because they are somehow, have demanding customer and the customer want to have more and more flexibility, because this is the reason why they're going in cloud. I mean,
yeah, and the partner can help the customers exactly. With these refresh days, really using this maybe as a template, as a starting point, but then really engaging with the customers to push them to such a refresh day. And I think in these assessments, I also saw when you start them, you basically can save them so that you can also have a history then, I guess.
So, for example, I just select again the Azure Well-Architected framework. So this is the same. So now you see that I have my assessment.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So if I have more, I just need to log on with my Microsoft kind of public account, and I have a list of my assessment. Of course, I can have a little bit more friendly name here. And then I have multiple assessments, for example, Refresh Day Q1, Q2, Q3. And then I can compare, the results. I can export them in CSV file, import them in Excel files, and then maybe compare them a little bit better than what I have, what I can do here. And, everything is going in direction to see, okay, what I did, what I can improve, and how to address following steps. I mean, it's kind of general questions, and it's going direction to take this question, to discuss about those questions, not just, hey, this is checkbox, I'm done. No, to discuss about that, how that reflect to my existing architecture, can I improve my existing architecture, and so on and so on. And of course, customer or partner doesn't like that we approach them and told them, hey, let's do the revision of your architecture. They will say, no, I like it. I don't change it. So it's better to go in different direction. Hey, let's sit down and discuss. Let's see what is new, what you can improve. And of course, this discussion may later influence the architecture. Yeah? But it's much easier for customer to understand why they need to change that, instead of just going there and say, hey, it's not compatible with our best practices, change it. It's always another way to somehow explain something. No, so this is the story. I mean, you probably have a feeling that it's not just presenting the assessment. It's actually a complete full day sitting with partner and somehow trying to see, okay, what we can do together much better.
Nice, yeah. And I liked when you said it's not like forcing this or having this as a hard checklist or something like that, but to basically, I was thinking, inspiring a discussion on this. I mean, and that resonates very well with me, because in a lot of demos or integration scenarios that I talk about, I don't present the full ready production implementation of how a certain integration looks like, but the idea is to inspire in a joint discussion with the customer, with the partner. What can you do with this, or what other things are coming out of this? And I can very much see this, that in this assessment, you have 10 questions, and maybe 5 of these questions don't apply to you, and that's perfectly fine. But then maybe 3 of them are really getting you to think about other things that you can then take a look.
You know what? You can use this as a basic and generate your own questions, which you will address in next refresh day. You say, okay, we already have our best practices. We are in this business of hosting SAP last 30 years. We already have something like that. Yeah. So let's integrate that. But the story is, let's put all people together without silos, without Microsoft guys, SAP guys, networking guys. Let's sit down together and see how we can, in this cloud mentality, what we can do, how to transfer that in over the DevOps in some new template, which we can much faster deploy for next customer. Because everything what we are doing cloud should be, translated in DevOps mentality, and on the end reflected some infrastructure as a code, because this is the goal of our partner, to be fast to deployment, to be fast with every single change. Sometimes it's unfortunately not so easy, but the goal is going there and be ready, or know the borders where you need to pull the brake and say, hey, we need to go another way because it's too expensive or it's too complex. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I really like this idea of this refresh day, and with these guardrails that this assessment can give you. But I guess the most important thing is to really set up these refresh days that, as you said, once a quarter or something like that, you really put this on your agenda. Let's revisit and let's try to improve. And maybe in a lot of cases, there's nothing that you can do. Maybe you are on a good track. Maybe there are no new virtual machines or whatever. But then sometimes you will have these changes, and that's exactly then where you can benefit and try and see how you can improve your setup.
I mean, this also somehow go in the direction of understanding that switching of responsibility. I think in those refresh day we'll probably, we will sit some SAP basis guys, some networking guys, some Microsoft guys, and probably we'll start somewhere discussion about, Power Platform. Why? Because now we have enough time to discuss about something else, because we are happy with our what we deliver there, and this switch of mentality in cloud. So I'm not just SAP based guy who is responsible for configuration of SAP system. No, I now have a time. I can do some other cool stuff. And I think this is also very, very important to to have this cloud mentality, to challenge yourself and say, hey, let's do something else, because now we see everything is okay, everything is working perfectly well. Let's challenge our customer and let's introduce something new. That's cool. More or less all. As you see, we can probably continue discussion the next 3 hours about that, because it's very interesting somehow to analyze what we have done. and what is still in front of us. But I think it's somehow a way of reflecting what we did and help us to move forward. Yeah?
No, absolutely, yeah. And as you said, we should also definitely do this in for our YouTube channel as well. Have a regular refresh day.
When I start with that idea, I say, oh, maybe Robert is not a good idea because we don't cover some stuff. But okay. Okay.
No, that's a great idea. We should definitely do that.
Okay,
great.
So that's all. I mean, I think. I mean, if someone of you have a better idea or already did something, please write the comments below, and we would like to hear your voice around these topics. If you want to chat with us, please write down below or contact us on LinkedIn, and we will be more than happy to somehow share our experience about the refresh day.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.